So here are my top 5 underrated teams going into this year.
What are your criteria for underrated? Because I know people are going to say this in the comments of each of these videos. I feel like we should do it that way. They know what we're counting as underrated as.
Well, underrated
teams that
rated or overrated.
To me, it had to do with transfer portal, coaching, and the expectation probably not being as high because of past failures. And also player development was a big one, starting with Penn State. That was a huge one for me.
I almost put Penn State down.
They're number 5, and they're the lowest on the totem pole because I understand that Penn State's going to get their hype every single year. But I'm a true believer that Drew Allar's performance last year was strictly based off of inadequate coaching and him not having the chemistry that he probably should have had with his wide receivers. And also, a lot of people had Nick Singleton and 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗏 Allen as one of their best duos, including us.
Yeah, we had them it was like Blake Edwards.
Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum.
Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum, like, as one, and then 𝗕𝘂𝘀𝗏 Allen and Nick Singleton as 2. It was like 1A, 1B for us. I remember us saying that last year.
But I don't believe it was their fault. I believe it was just offensive coordinator didn't want to give them the ball for whatever reason when they were in the toughest spots. Like, yeah, we're going to give it to you on 4th and 5. Like, what? Drew should be throwing the ball. But
they were very picky. I just saw Juan's comment.
No.
Man, they were picky when they wanted to run the ball.
Yeah. So that's why I have Penn State there, because I just believe that Drew Allar, at the end of the season, if I'm wrong, he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks that's going to turn the corner. And Luke Fleming transferred over from Ohio State. So you also not Luke Fleming, Julian Fleming has transferred from Ohio State over. So it's actually going to give him a legit weapon at the school now. And he's still got both of those guys coming back, and their defense is still going to be really good because Manny Diaz's footprint is going to still be there.
Yes.
Transferring on to Duke, which actually has to relate to Penn State, Manny Diaz is getting his second stint. Well, actually, these bottom 3 schools all have a connection, and it's Manny Diaz.
They're all related to Manny Diaz, bro.
But Duke got Malik Murphy that came over from Texas as their quarterback. And we all know how that went at Texas. I mean, there was really no competition. The whole program.
I was disappointed. I wanted to shed a thug tear from Malik Murphy.
I know, but how much love do you think he wasn't getting because of Arch and Quinn? That's my question. But Manny Diaz coming over, being one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, and this is his second stint at head coach when I think he should have had a longer tenureship in Miami, and I think they screwed him. He went and betted on himself, went to Penn State, and made them one of the best defenses in the country for several years at this point. And now Mike Elko has left that program in pretty good hands to a guy like him. And Malik Murphy getting him in the transfer portal is either going to make and break his first year, to be honest. But I think they're going to be underrated, and I think that they're going to win several games. And that Duke Blue Devils stigma that they are just a basketball school, I think they kind of loosen that up a little bit more down the road too. Number 3, Miami's just been going absolutely insane in the transfer portal this year. If you have not seen some of the names that they've gotten, I don't know what to tell you, but one of the biggest names was Damian Martinez from Oregon State. Absolute monster. They got our boy Xavier Restrepo, and that defense is going to continue to get good.
Who was ours?
We all like Xavier Restrepo. Stop it. But Mario Cristobal has been going crazy in recruiting, and we already know he's a recruiting beast. But I can also say that this is a make or break year for him too. Cam Ward, they got him. They actually pulled him away from going into the NFL. So if they can get Cam Ward to be as consistent as they can throughout this whole year, they might be on. I hate to say this, they might be the sneakiest team in the ACC. That could come out and not only get to the ACC for the first time, but win it for their first time as well.
That's crazy.
There's a lot riding on Miami. Virginia Tech, man, Kyron Drones is going to be good. He's been training with Shedeur Sanders, so hopefully, and Cam Ward, hopefully a lot of that stuff has not just like sliced over to him, but they got better as the year went on. They went on that 3-game losing streak, and they only lost like the last 4 out of 6 games they played. And I mean, they beat Boston College, who was pretty good. They beat Wake Forest, Syracuse. They lost against Louisville 34-3, and that was pretty much their worst loss down the road. But I mean, 48-22, 38-10, 30-13, 55-17 against Virginia, and then they beat Tulane 41-20. And Kyron Drones was a really big part of that, having 176 yards on the ground. I expect him to be a really good quarterback as well. They shouldn't have won as many games as they did. They finished 4th in the ACC as far as their record was concerned. And I think just how I feel about Miami, they're the only ones stopping themselves from being good. That program is going to turn around. And it sucked the last like 10 years watching them just be so bad because they were one of the powerhouses that could come in and just get a sneaky win off of you. And by my God, man, Nebraska.
Oh my
say
goodness.
Say what you want about Matt Rule and what he's been doing. Having a really good recruiting class. That's what they knew he was going to bring. Every single team that he's going to, from Temple to Baylor, he's turned around. We don't want to talk about his time in the NFL. He is a straight college coach. I'm not going to hold that against him.
That's absolutely fair.
Being able to flip Dylan Raiola from Georgia to come over there, and I don't know what steroids, what diet this kid has been on. He looks like a damn redshirt junior playing quarterback. The spring game, he's looked awesome. Everybody knows I don't like the fact that he transferred from high school to high school and just was like, but his dad coaches there. Matt Rule's his head coach, and if Matt Rule's believing in you like your dad is believing in you, then I'm not going to ever question the things that Matt Rule is going to do at Nebraska. I think Hayden, that's the team. They're honestly the Big Ten team that everybody should look out for.
That's
to be
what
honest,
I've been saying. Even last year, I saw this first-year team under Matt Rule. This team, their record did not speak to what's going on in the locker room. Their locker room expectations winning. They came out. It was a dogfight. When you play Nebraska, it's going to be a dogfight no matter who you are, whether you're Michigan. Nebraska's going to keep these games close and even put teams like Michigan, Ohio State on upset warning under Matt Rule.
Yeah.
It took overtime for us to beat them last year.
I don't know. The one thing that went for him was defense. I mean, that's the thing that kind of kept them in games, and they didn't really lose that much. So Matt Rule retains players. He retains really good players, captains of his team, and they just need to wrap their hands around Dylan Raiola this year. And I don't know, man. I don't like to take a lot away from spring games, but that dude was – I walked away from that spring game like I did with the Arch Manning when I was like, oh, my God, way to shut me up completely. I love it. I love when stuff like that happens. It's exciting. It makes what we're talking about exciting as well. So those are my 5 teams. Any disagreements here, sir? Sirs.
Miami. No.
Nope.
Nebraska. No, I'm joking.
I will say though, imagine like, because week 1, I already mentioned like August 31st, week 0, all that stuff. It's Miami at Florida, like in the swamp. But imagine, Pack Swamp, Cam Ward versus Graham Mertz, and then like that's the quarterback battle, and then you've got Xavier Restrepo, and just imagine if Cormani does walk on and like he does well, gets starting job, all that stuff, and it's Cormani McClain versus Xavier
he ain't locking Restrepo down though. Let's stop. The dude's got a scar on his face.
Is he Scarface? I'm just saying
beast.
that's entertaining football right there.
The dude got bit by a shark in his face. There's nothing that could stop him. Actually, I don't know if that happened.
Like Soros said, 2 years ago, we would have had Mertz versus Ward as a matchup. And no, you cannot mention the Wisconsin versus Washington State game over like 2 years ago.
Charlie says Texas A&M, Nebraska, and Kansas. Texas A&M and Kansas are good ones too.